Okay, hello, welcome to another, well actually my first, YouTube Photoshop tutorial. For this tutorial I'll be making a cool space background like you see on the screen right now. For this tutorial I will be using Adobe Photoshop CS4 Extended Edition. CS5 will not work if it is running in 64-bit mode, because I do need lighting effects to work on your machine if you intend to do this tutorial. If you do have it running in 64-bit mode, like it is by default if you install on a 64-bit machine, which is pretty much every modern Mac, depending on how you define modern, you are going to go to Applications, then to your Photoshop folder, and this is CS4, remember, so I don't have this option. But you're going to right-click, go on Get Info, and then it'll have something such as Open in 32-bit mode. You're going to want to check that. Or if it's open in 64-bit mode, you're going to want to uncheck that. I'm pretty sure it's 32-bit mode, though. That's just one of the many reasons I haven't upgraded to Photoshop CS5. It's pretty expensive, and there's not all that many wonderful upgrades, and the content-aware filter isn't really that great. And so, anyway, to make this, we're just going to open up Photoshop here. We are going to make a new document. I'm just going to choose 2000 by... all caps, might as well. 2000 by 2000. And resolution 72 is fine. It's not like we're printing this out or anything. By the way, this makes a nice website backdrop, a nice backdrop for green screens, anything really like that. So what we're going to want now is we're going to want to fill the background with black. Oops. You're going to want to fill the background with black. And then you're going to want to make a new layer and draw the stars. If you're in a particular crunch for time, you can use the filter noise add noise effect. You probably will have to fill that layer with a color first before you can add noise. By the way, make sure monochromatic is selected and make sure the distribution is Gaussian if you're trying to make stars. And that's still, it doesn't look all that nice. It looks not quite so random. You can see kind of recurring patterns in it. So I prefer to do it the long method here. It's what I think makes, whatever makes the better end product is what you do, no matter how long it takes. But if you're just trying to whip this up real quick for a YouTube video, it's not going to be very big, or it's just going to be a small little thumbnail for your Facebook profile or whatever. That is, if you're weird enough to put this on as your Facebook profile. But anything like that, you can just do filter noise, add noise. But if you're trying to make a professional website, this tutorial probably isn't for you because it doesn't look that great when you're done. Although it does look, I guess, pretty good. It's not one of the extremely professional space scenes that involve tons more steps. It is instead just a simple one for playing around for hobbies and stuff. And, it gives you a nice end product, but it's not amazing or anything. So anyway, I made some stars there. I'm just going to copy them. I'm going to paste them over, kind of drag them into place. Paste. And really you can't see a pattern with these, especially if you overlay them differently. Sometimes you can see a bit of a pattern. It's not really a problem. The viewer's not going to be looking for a pattern in the background. And it's probably going to be set back into the background anyway. So maybe you change the opacity. Maybe you change the alignment of these a little bit. Move that a little there, and whatever, you can play around with it. We're just going to merge these layers down. That's Command E on the Mac. You can also go Layer, Merge Down. Merge Visible or Flatten Image will combine it with the black, which we do not at this point want. We're going to copy all those again. We're going to paste it again. Going to move it a little bit. And then we're going to expand it to make it a little bigger, to make some slightly bigger stars. Then we're going to copy those and paste them on a new layer and make some bigger stars than those we just made. And copy those, paste those. Gonna make an even bigger layer, even bigger stars on a new layer. You see where this is going. You can play around with the stars, with the opacity of the layers. All that is an open playing field. And in fact, for this, I'm going to want to change my very background stars to 90%. my bigger stars to like 70-ish, maybe 60 here. And then I'm just going to merge all these layers together. And I'm going to go filter, blur, radial blur. I'm just going to apply, you want it to be zoom by the way, not spin. Just a small little radial blur. This might be a little off. It seems to be trial and error every time. But yeah, 5 worked pretty good. You can, move it around a little. That looks good. Maybe do that one more time. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Then it just gives you the illusion of traveling. And at this point, if you want to change the opacity in 90 or something, that might look nice. So we're going to start adding planets now. So you can create a new layer. But really what we're going to need to do is create a new document. I'd suggest 3000 by 3000. And by the way, what I'm going to use here, I did not come up with. Everything else in this tutorial I came up with myself. This I actually saw on another website and thought it was really cool. The link to that website for this rock texture will be in the description, although me making it into a planet and rotating it and doing all the lighting effects, those are my idea. But the tutorial that I have linked in the description is how to make this really awesome rock texture. And sometimes it works better than other times. But what you want to do is you want to choose kind of like, at least for starters, kind of a nice, even, slightly dark brown, like that. And then a lower 2/3 gray, which means anything from, that's like 1/3, that's the second third, anything from about 6968668 down. Actually, that'd be 696969 down, or 686868 down. But anyway, anywhere from there down. But you want it a little above. You want about like that. 4E, 4E, 4E. That's a good hex value for that. You're going to go filter, render, clouds. And we don't really want, you see how small those little cloud areas are? We want it to be a little bigger, so we're just going to select all, copy, new layer, paste. We're going to delete this background layer. Command T for transform to make this bigger. That should probably work. What we're going to do is this layer, it has all this stuff around the edges that we don't need and we're never going to want. So I'm just going to copy the contents of this little square right here, make a new layer, paste, and delete our old layer because the old layer is taking up unnecessary RAM. Okay, so now I'm going to go to channels. I'm going to make a new alpha channel. I'm going to go filter, render, difference, clouds. Do that a couple times. This one you'll also want to transform to make it bigger. Maybe like that. You don't have to go too crazy. We're going to go back to this layer. We're going to go filter, render, lighting effects. And you can adjust these numbers how you want. I always like to put the light, well, I guess we can keep it there. There we go. I always like to put the light kind of up here. I don't know why. But the important part is putting your texture channel as alpha 1. You can play around with whether white's high or not. I'm going to leave it as white is high and put it as very mountainous. You can change these numbers here. I might change plastic, a little shinier maybe. You could also do that. I always use the spotlight just because I know what I usually do it with the spotlight and it seems to work fine. So we're just going to press OK here. It's going to make kind of a cool rock texture here. Sometimes you get a really cool one. Oh, this one's really nice. Perfect. And depending on what colors you do, you can get some really cool effects like sandstone and all that. And so you're going to make sure you have no feather up here. You're going to select a good size square that's not in the really bright area or the really dark area. You're just going to copy it, make a new document, Command N. Leave the width and height the way they are, because if you copy properly, it'll be the exact size of this. Paste it in. Then go 3D, and this is the part where we're making the planets. New shape from layer, sphere. And it's going to generate a pretty nice sphere. You can use the 3D rotation tool to rotate it to your liking. I think that's good. I'm just gonna, there's no way to directly rasterize the 3D layer, so you have to convert it to a smart object, and then you have to go in and rasterize it, which is kind of annoying. So anyway, here's our planet. I'm just going to copy it and paste it into our space tutorial. I'm going to put it over here, maybe resize that. It's a little big. There we go. We're going to add a outer glow to it. So you're going to double click on the layer, go to outer glow, going to choose, I generally think for the bigger planets, a nice light blue 40EFF5 looks kind of nice right now. You can play around with that. And size usually around 49 to 50. Although up to, 80 will still work. It might just look a little big. I'm going to do 54. No, 56, 7. 57. That's pretty nice. It all depends, obviously. If you have a document 2 times as big, you're not going to want to use, if you're going to use 57 on this size, you're going to want to use, 114 on that size. Because it's not proportional to the size of the document. It's not like, 10%, 5%, 2%. It's just an amount of pixels, so the bigger your document is, the higher that size is going to have to be. But for a 2000 by 2000 image, 57, anywhere from 45 to 80, 90-ish seems to work good. 90 is a little on the high end. You don't really want to mess with your contour. You can play around with it a little, get some cool effects, but I generally just like to keep it on the normal. Maybe add a little bit of noise here. Not that much. Maybe like that. Maybe. So we're just going to press OK. There's our planet now. You can see the atmosphere over here. And it blends in nicely because you can kind of see the stars through it. So it doesn't look like just a plain weird blue ring there. So what you're going to want to do now is, also if you want to make rings, there's a really cool way to make rings. Let's see, make a new document, 2000, 2000. Size of this one doesn't really matter as long as it's big enough and not too big where it eats up too much memory and processing power and whatever on your computer. You're going to make a new document. You're just going to put in, filter under clouds. And then you're going to do, like, let's see, I think it's twirl. Let's see, twirl. Here we go, distort twirl. I knew that. And you're just going to add a really high twirl like that. And then you're going to select with your elliptical marquee tool with a feather. I would suggest using a feather of 50 pixels for a size 2000 by 2000. You're going to select kind of a mid-range, mid-area here. Invert your selection and delete. It gives you kind of a cool black hole kind of look. Especially if it was on more of a space background. And in fact, I should have really not made this background layer. And so, layer from background. I'm just going to put it above here. That way, if in this layer, you can put wherever you want it to be over just to see how it looks. But I'm going to redo that. Kind of nice selection. Like that. Invert. Delete. So, there you go. With your transparency behind it. And then you're going to want to go image. Or, well, first you're going to want to select the middle part of it. I actually like to do this on a new layer so I can kind of move my selection around once I make it, and even move it around like this. Like, say there's good. Invert, delete. Oops, not invert, delete. Just delete. And you have this kind of nice ring pattern. You're gonna go to image. Edit, transform, perspective. Then you can change your perspective here. So the rings are kind of like that. Then you can Command T to transform to make it more like that. You can do like a color overlay at this point. Multiply. Good color is usually like a kind of orangish